Hi guys, Squall here, and welcome back to Meridian. Population 1600 in our little playthrough of Citiies Skylines 2. We're on an archipelago. We've only got this main island going at the moment, but we're still trying to separate, the workers from the well-to-do, educated types, but it's a bit difficult at the moment. We don't have any districts, and we can't separate map tiles properly, but we're getting there. In this video, this episode, what I want to do is focus on solving some problems that we have. As you can see, there's a lot of traffic parked on the roads. That's one problem. Also, we need to get some education going. We also need to look at the policing situation, perhaps move some roads. And I'd kind of like to get into a little bit of specialised industry before the end, if it's all possible, but it depends how we go. So, without further ado, let's get started. First thing to note is, as we've seen already, we've got some high rent issues. So what I've done is I've created some smaller housing down the right side here. So hopefully they'll move into smaller, cheaper plots. Now, education is definitely an issue. If we have a look at our education system at the moment, we don't have any schooling whatsoever, which even for, the warehouse workers, the industry workers, even they need basic education. It does help them to live a bit longer as well as keep them a bit happier. At the moment, when the game starts, we've got a spread of uneducated, poor, and educated. Education does take time, so it's really good to start this early because it will take quite an in-game while before your population to start to become more and more educated. So really, it comes down to where do we want to put the schooling? We've got a population at 1,700. One elementary school at the moment will handle everybody. I'm a bit reluctant to put another school just for this district. I think what we'll do is we'll kind of just use services across the population for now. And then as we unlock map tiles and get a bit more money, we'll really start to separate the two populations away. But for now, it just makes sense to put things down near the populated areas, which of course does mean either over here, or perhaps somewhere in between. I'm thinking somewhere in between. Maybe, along this road near these hills kind of thing. We're not really going to use this land for anything else. So let's push this ground back just a little bit, like so. And we'll just smoothen that out. And we'll maybe just create a little side road off the side here and have a school perhaps here. Later on, we can start thinking about, getting some bus routes over here. But for now, we'll just put it along this road, not like that. Like that maybe, and we'll stick in basic elementary school, just butting up like that. We can upgrade that at some point if we want to. If we need to add more population, we can add an extension wing. But, everything comes with an upkeep, like 10,000 a month. Actually, an extra 500. But for now, that will do us in terms of just handling the students. What I think we'll do, though, is just smooth that out a little bit. And perhaps think about having a footpath that runs from this district here. Just get some curves on. And we'll just create a nice little, walk through the... for the kids that don't mind walking to school. Yes, they do exist. And we'll just bring a little footpath over here like that. And they can get in that way. And then also, why not just connect it up to some of this district here. So this is a shopping district, so students after school can just walk over to the shops, which is always pretty useful. This I'm going to leave for now because we did think about having a little farm there. We can't do farms just yet, but that will come very soon in the next unlock. So that should give us some education. We can check that now by bringing up the education tab. You can see that school, it does cover this area here. It's stretching its limits to get over there, and it's very much stretching its limits to get to this district. So perversely, we're actually educating these guys, but not so much educating these guys. So what we could possibly do is, if we want to, we could stick the high school down here. But at this stage of the game, we don't really have the population, and it's a bit costly. So I won't do that. Now, policing is something we haven't tackled at all. So at some point, we're going to have to deal with crime. So it's better to get a police station down if we think we can afford it. We're currently just about making money. In the early game, before about 8,000-9,000 population, you can expect to lose money. We'll be mostly subsidized by government grants anyway. But, you know, it wouldn't hurt to have a police station down now. Again, we want it to cover as much as possible. So we want to keep it nice and central. We could, for now, perhaps stick it around this area here, opposite the school, just to frighten everybody. That's one option. We could stick it in the commerce district, or even, you know, down this end. It really doesn't matter too much. We might relocate it later. For now, we're just going to stick it, I think, along here, just near the school, but not, you know, not too close. Same thing goes for fire. Like, we don't have any provision for fire station, so really I think I'll stick a fire station in there, and perhaps we'll brighten things up a little bit by having a little footpath separate everything out, just to make everything interesting like that. And there we go. So, as expected, we're now losing money because we're now paying for all these services. What we'll do now is just have a quick look if there's any money that we can save on our services. So you can see we're now, police administration is a lot of money, but we don't really need to whack this up to 100% yet. You know, if you look at the amount of cars that are going to be in use, it's going to be pretty minimal. We've got, well, actually, all of them have just gone out, just as I say that. But that's not, it would have been on, I think, 10. So we've got 4 firehouse. Again, do we need all those? I don't think so. I don't think the risk of fire is that great right now. We will have to remember to come back and raise the, put these back up where they should be, because that will reduce the efficiency of the building. You can see budget cuts. But we've got to balance the books, right? So what else can we save on? Well, electricity, right? We're buying all our electricity on demand. Do we need to have such a big budget? Possibly not. We could reduce a bit of that for now, just save a bit of cash. Water and sewage, health and death care, again, we're not going to have that many people to deal with, so we'll just reduce that. And that, you know, just those little changes are going to help us to bring the money back in, which is a good thing. We just need to watch out for people getting a bit unhappy or unhealthy, etc. And as the population grows, we will need to adjust that upwards. But that will do us for now. So what else do we want to do? I'd like to rework this road through here. However, you know, thinking longer term about where I want this road to go, I was thinking to myself, this district over here, this is a big island. And over this side is quite, you know, unusable, as it were. So this is mostly probably the target for our highly educated, you know, downtown high-rise type district, is probably going this direction. So at some point we're going to want this highway here to get over there somehow. So I'm thinking what we'll probably do is direct the highway just along the outskirts of that island, because I don't want to steal too much landmass from here. Right, this cuts right through the middle, and I don't like that. So I want to skirt around the outside, and we'll probably have a junction that feeds off something, either a very wide road or a highway to a roundabout, just to give that population a good link to the road network. So, you know, this is already raised here, and I could just raise all that bit now, but I'm going to move that over at some point anyway. I'll just leave that for now. So instead, we shall focus on other matters. So our demand is coming back for industry and that kind of thing. So we're just going to scope out some more industry and satisfy that. I've noticed with industry, though, you're better off not doing too much at once, because as you can see, look at that. It comes down very, very quickly. I'm just going to speed time up just so that we start to get our population up. I will need to create some medium density around about here. As you can see, I've already done some. I've put it near this car park because they tend to need it. But what I generally do is kind of spec out smaller lots, just to give everybody options about where they live, and also not to create too big of a big high-rise opposite another big high-rise doesn't look great. So with this, what I'll probably do is stick some row housing just along there like that. But that's not done what I want, so I'm just going to delete that, because I actually want them to face that road there. And so you better let them build and then put that one in afterwards like that. And then what we could do is stick a little footpath to cut down the back there. And there you go. That will not grow as high as that, and it just looks better. Better than having loads of buildings all opposite each other. And there's a car park there for them to use. Good. Right. What else have we got? We've got waiting for a hearse because we don't have any death care provisions. So we've got two options here. We've got access to a cemetery. They are pretty expensive, 38,000 per month upkeep. Or the crematorium is 31,000 per month upkeep. This has a capacity of 5,000. It is a cemetery, so they will just be buried. 15 hearses. This one only has 10 hearses, but it never gets full. It can process up 100 a month. But the main downside of the cemetery is just the sheer size of it. You know, it is quite a big beast. But when you do put it down, it does tend to benefit or bring some happiness to everybody. Now, I did think about this area here. I was wondering about what to do with it. And I think I may just put a cemetery here. However, the road connection's not great. So if you put a cemetery here, all the hearses are going to have to either go that way to get out, or they're going to have to go this way. And this way takes them through some slow dirt roads. So it's not an ideal placement in that sense. However, it would look quite rather nice. Maybe we can rework the roads anyway. So what we'll do is we'll probably have to just nip some of that back, just to give us some more land. Because like I say, it is quite a big thing. And maybe we could just lower the terrain a little bit in between anyway. So if we just do that, sculpt that back a little bit, make it almost a valley, then, you know, we could perhaps have a little kind of walkway area through here to allow residents to walk straight this way, or even we could just smash a road right into there and give it a new road link. That's probably not a terrible shout, to be honest. So let's do that. Let's bring in a medium road. Oh, there we go. Grand Village. Now, Grand Village is going to unlock some good things for us. District Creation Tool, which is fantastic. Allows us to set policies as well. We've got access to the production panel, so we can see what we're importing and exporting. And we've also got access to, well, we've got natural disasters, low rent housing, which is good. High rise, low rent, great for workers. We've now unlocked offices, but we need education for that. And we've unlocked grain farming and forestry. And we've now got access to buses and various other bits and pieces. Lots of stuff. So lots of things just unlocked. The only thing about putting a road through here is it's going to be quite disruptive initially, because it will basically displace. You have to put it here on that side, or at the very least one of these roads probably. We can't actually, yes we can, just there like that. So it will cause a lot of friction, but it's a necessary evil, I think, to give us a good road connection down here. So where do we want the cemetery? Well, what we could do is actually orient it kind of that way or that way. A lot of it depends on its road connection, which it seems to want on the south side. So if we keep it perhaps just to maybe like there, then we can basically put the road down the side of it and then just join in here. Lovely. That creates our little cemetery. And of course we could have a little footpath. We could extend this footpath here down along there. And it just creates a little walkway between the houses, that kind of thing. So that should start to send out hearses just to, you know, deal with any dead. But you can see +3 well-being within 300 meters. 300 meters is not a huge gap, but it should hit quite a few houses over here. But I think that's a nice use for that bit of land there. And it gives another road connection between these districts, which is always a good thing. Like I say, we have unlocked office space now, so we could start to build that. But I just think we need to slow down here and think about the education and look at the map tiles that we want to build next. So first of all, now we've got access to the production tab, which is here, we can start to get a feel for what's going on in the city. And straight away, we can see there's a huge deficit of grain and livestock and vegetables. So it would probably help us a lot if we get some of this grown ourselves locally. The rock is not a major issue, but rock is very heavy. So if we do start to build a quarry, we need to make sure that we've got very good cargo links. And by that, I mean train or ships, because if we start to make rock and we don't use it, we'll export it. And when you export something, you pay the cost of it. We pay the transport cost, bizarrely. So we need to make sure we can move heavy stuff like rock very easily. So we're not going to touch that yet. But we want to think about the grain and the livestock and perhaps the vegetables. We need to grow some of that. So looking at the overhead map, which is here, we can see that we've got some possible options. And if we bring up the natural resources tab, we looked at this already in the last video, but we know we've got this ore content down here. Sadly, I think we're just going to have to ignore that, because that we won't be able to use that for a while. It's about 2 or 3 unlocks from now. The natural resources here, the fertile ground we can use, we could make a farm there, but it's also full of trees. And maybe we want to just do logging instead, because there's not a lot of heavy, dense trees around. There's one right over here, but that's a long way away. So if we do want to do some logging, that would be a good spot for it, or we just build some fields. We can definitely build a field here, though, if we get it, and I think we'll ignore that oil. Again, that will be much later on. Annoyingly, there's a massive field right here. There's a lot of fertile land right where this highway runs, which is just really, really irritating. But I did say to you what I want to do is bring that road through here. So what we could do, for example, is if we unlock those 2 tiles, and then maybe go to the next one, we can then think about unlocking that tile, and that will allow us to route the highway now from here along that coast there. We could create a T-junction or even a roundabout junction or something to split off so we can get over here for this stuff. We'll definitely need a highway link through there, because there's lots going on over here that we want to build. We want to capitalize on that. Then it comes to this here. For this, I think we need to grab at least those 2, possibly that one, but if we're being a bit skimpy, we can save that, and then we'll just grab these 2 for now. So that's 8 out of our 12. That's plenty to be going on with. I'll just get that one anyway, and then we've got that corner locked out. So let's get that field done, and let's get this highway put in, and then we'll see where we are. So you can see I have removed the junction that we were given from the highway. This was the starter area. What I want to do is put a roundabout in here, and then have the highway go over the top of it and then drop down into the roundabout. Quite a common junction in Europe, maybe not so in the States, but it's a very useful one. But in order to do it, I need to unlock highways. I have no access to highways, so what we'll need to do is unlock advanced road services, which will give us really nice options like traffic lights and other decorations, and then we'll get highways here. So we've still got 4 points left. I'm going to use them sparingly. We don't need large roads yet, so we'll just ignore that. But then it will allow us to carry on and build a highway roundabout with a highway over the top of it. So this section, what I want to do is create a roundabout, and I'll go for like a 64-meter radius roundabout. But I'll make it out of 2-lane highway. That keeps the roundabout nice and quick. And it also means that when the medium roads meet it, if you remove the traffic lights from it, they'll have to give way, which is exactly what we want for a roundabout. Then we'll do single lane on and off ramps onto that highway. It's a 2-lane highway. Further up where it meets the bridge, it becomes a 3-lane for some reason. At some point we might make the whole thing 3-lane, but for now we'll stick with 2 because further down south it's a 2-lane highway. From here we'll then take this south onto the other island. So with this south link to the highway, I'm not worried about it just yet. I don't have access to highway junctions, but we will come back later on and make a junction on this south island over to that east island. But for now, we'll just link it through, and we will be left with a piece of highway that we were given that we can't delete because we'd have to unlock that tile. I'm not going to unlock a tile just to delete that better highway, so we'll do that later. So that's the new highway complete. As you can see, it's all elevated, which means we can pop underneath it if we want to. We could reclaim some land and build on it. We've got options. We've got an elevated highway. It then links down to here. You can go east later on when we build out that junction, but for now we've got a bit of a trap road that we can't delete because it's out of bounds. I wasn't really planning on putting a second junction in here, but when I looked at it, I thought it actually makes a lot of sense because this is probably going to have some industry now. We're going to put some forestry perhaps here and some grain over there. We've got some industry down here. It probably makes sense to have a good link, so we'll put in a medium road from here. Just turn the snapping back on, and we'll basically wind out of here. I should turn the snapping off because it's going to... this happens. When you've got on and off ramps and then you try to put in a road like this, you can see what happens. It goes a bit crazy. And the only solution is to delete the on and off ramp, then put that road in, and then go back to the on and off ramp and put that back as where it was originally. So then you kind of put this back in here. But it can be a little bit finicky. So that one goes on. That one's complaining about. Probably have to just delete that and put that one in again. Yeah, it's a bit picky. So anyway, if we go to road services, the traffic light here, we can just right click and remove that traffic light. And because that is a faster road, I built that out of highway. So because that is a faster road, this road, when it joins to it, will automatically give way. You can have traffic lights, but for a roundabout, this makes a lot more sense. So we've got our on and off ramp, and what we want to do now is just basically follow the path around. So we'll turn off like this. Let's just put that snapping back on. Turn off like here, and I built a kind of a ridge along here that I thought would follow. And I've attached it to a little roundabout over here, like so. And then that roundabout there links down to that cemetery and also to the industrial estate. And then with this, we can come off this way. And that gives this district a better access to the highway, so it's not reliant on just that one. Okay, lovely. That's the road infrastructure done. We've got huge amounts of demand. What I want to do next is go and flesh out this grain field over here, and perhaps we'll build a forestry bit and we'll hook it all together and see what we've got. So with the farming districts, what I like to do is build a dirt track road around the perimeter. It helps to box it in. It looks tidier as well, and it helps to visualize where things are. We've also got some more space here that we could probably put some livestock farming in right next to it. Livestock doesn't need fertile ground or anything, so we can just put it in there. But having these two next to each other is quite a nice end to this bit of land and the industrial district. And yeah, it's fed from the workers just up the hill there. So once we've placed our livestock and our grain down, we can just use this box area to drag out the shape that we want. Because we've got that road, we can just nicely butt up against the edge of it. And I think it really helps just to define the area that you want. Now, obviously, we can't follow the road completely because we're limited by this circle here. So what we could do is we could trim that road back in a second. And it just gives it a nice finish, I think. There we go, the finished product. Nicely perimeterized road. I think it looks nice and tidy. We could perhaps just tidy this one up here and maybe bring it that way. But other than that, you can see the livestock produces these little warehouses around the field. The grain doesn't do anything currently, weirdly enough. I kind of thought they put combine harvesters down there and whatnot, but right now it doesn't seem to do anything. If we just change this road here, we'll just build across like that. So, and then we can just, well, we could leave that one actually. Let's leave that one in as well. There you go, quite happy with that. We've maximized the use of the land. I think it looks pretty good. We could even perhaps, we've got more room, we can come over to here, I think. So we might as well. Roundabouts are obviously a bit more tricky, but if you turn snapping off down here, you can get a lot more use out of it. If I turn snapping on and then drag that into the corner, and then right click that to delete it, snaps back in. So yeah, that's good. Nice little thing here. We could perhaps move some monument there or some old castle that we find on the map. We can stick it here just to give it a rural feel. But yeah, it's got great connections now. It's got all these workers nearby. They can come and work here. It looks nice. It's making good use of that part of the land. and takes advantage of the fertile ground, and hopefully means we're importing a lot less stuff as well. So we could build a forest down here, or we could build some more farmland. I think forest is the way. Ideally though, we probably want to unlock both of those tiles. We've only got one unlock remaining now, but yeah, I think we're going to build some more forestry down here. So I'll build that out now, and we'll build some more houses and stuff as well and get more people moved in. So with this district, as well as putting down that forestry bit down in this, so the way forestry works is the more well established the trees are, the more wood you'll get out of it. And since that was given to us, I thought that'd be a great area for forestry. So linking into that though, how do we link into it? Well, I think what I want to do is I want to build this area out with a mixture of tarmac roads and the dirt roads. So the tarmac roads are going to be there because we're going to start to get more traffic through here as we start to add the density or ratchet the density up. We also need to think about buses as well, because we've got to get these workers around, and we're going to need some commerce mixed into this. We've got industry on the outskirts. Again, we've not separated those wealthy people properly yet. We'll have to do that when we get some more map unlocks, but for now I want to focus on making this the real powerhouse of this island, this particular island. So I'm going to flesh these roads out. Going to go a little bit more crazy with this particular district. So we've got the grid structure in the kind of the top side there. For this southern side, I want to change the feel of it, and yeah, just make some more interesting routes and directions, and then we'll flesh it up with some paving just to join the roads up so that the pedestrians can get around a bit. And there we go. Once all the footpaths are put in place, you can see the Sims can really move around. Kind of looks a bit crazy when the roads are like that and they're not filled in, but once this thing fleshes out, you'll really start to feel that it looks like a living, breathing town. But that's for later. I think we've done enough in this episode, guys. I think in the next episode, we're going to have to really flesh out these bars here. We're going to have to tackle a bit more kind of higher level education and really think about getting some offices in. Hopefully now we'll start to see some change in our production here. You can see already that we're producing grain, so we've got zero deficit. We've actually got a tiny bit of surplus, which is wonderful, because it's much cheaper to make our own goods than it is to import it. Vegetables is something we need to look at probably in the next episode as well. But yeah, that is it from me, guys. I hope you're enjoying the series. Give me a thumbs up if you are. Leave some comments about what you think about the city and where you think things should go. That's the next one. Take care. Happy building.